Hi, here we are, the week in Microsoft Build, where there is a ton of developer-related announcements. I figured I'm not a developer, but I would pick out the top kind of five-ish things that I thought were kind of interesting to have a look at. First up is something called the computer using agent Microsoft showed. This is the capability to embed into Copilot style agents that you are building, the ability for them to interact with either desktop applications or web-based applications on your behalf. So this promises to provide a way to automate repetitive tasks like document processing or filing or completing online forms, that kind of stuff. Second up is a thing called MS Discovery. This is a tuned agent alongside the frontier agents, which are currently research and analytics. This is orientated around doing scientific discovery, and there's a pretty cool demo that Microsoft showed where they used it to help research and actually develop some chemicals that they used as part of their immersion-based cooling systems. Next one is something that, if you might remember MapPoint from back in the 2000s, there's a product called Microsoft Planetary Computer Pro, which is something I'd never heard of. It builds upon Planetary Computer, which is a free geospatial database that Microsoft provides where you have access to petabytes worth of geographical information. The Pro denomination that is coming is currently free, licensing TBD. Lets you then import and use the mapping data from Microsoft and all the sources that they've got alongside company data. This is useful for industries, things like energy companies where they're planning where power lines go, or councils where they might be doing emergency response work, that kind of stuff. Again, it's not something I would ever use, but pretty interesting, I think, to look at. Next is two things, actually. I'm cheating. One is that Microsoft is open sourcing the Windows subsystem on Linux. That lets you run the Linux kernel inside Windows and then therefore various other Linux applications. They're open sourcing that. The second one is GitHub Copilot, which is the original implementation of Copilot. It's the one that actually took, where the name came from, is a plugin currently for Visual Studio. Microsoft is going to be open sourcing that, again, as part of their commitment around transparency for AI and responsible use of AI in development settings. And then two cool toys to finish up with. First up is PowerToys. You might be familiar with PowerToys Run. It's kind of a quick launch and search command line toolbar that you can run. When you press the shortcut, pops up in the middle of your screen. You can search for applications, files, folders, web pages. That is being superseded by something called PowerToys Command Palette. That is also going to allow plugins and various other things, so it looks pretty interesting. And then lastly there's a new tool, again, that should be open source, called Edit, that is coming to the command line. This is a command line based text editor. So I think Vi, but for Windows, and hopefully a lot less frustrating to use. That's my top things to look out for, and maybe do a little bit of in-depth stuff for some of those over the next week or so. But that's it for now. Catch you next time. Bye-bye.